Hey everyone, welcome back to another MallDoc. Today, we're going to visit CoolSprings Galleria in Franklin, Tennessee, on one of the busiest days of the year, the day after Christmas. I've visited this mall on multiple occasions, and I've never seen it this busy. Also, since this is a longer video, I'll be chiming in with some history throughout, as we walk around the mall. Anyway, with that said, join me, and let's take a look at the CoolSprings Galleria. In the mid-20th century, what's now the major shopping district of Cool Springs was just some fields and farmland south of Nashville and north of Franklin, Tennessee. Then, in 1958, Interstate 65 was established, which provided a quick way to travel around the greater Nashville area, including Cool Springs. Businesses, homes, and roads began sprouting up around the city throughout the 70s and 80s, and it was also at this time that the indoor shopping mall concept became popularized, with thousands opening all over the United States. By the late 1980s, Nashville already had quite a few malls, and it was only a matter of time before the quickly growing Cool Springs area would get its own. In 1989, CBL and Associates Properties announced their plans to build a large two-story shopping mall as a joint venture with the Edward J. DeBartolo Corporation. The mall would be situated at the interchange of Moores Lane and Interstate 65. Ground was broken on the 1.3 million square foot shopping center in May of 1990, and at 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday, August 7, 1991, Cool Springs Galleria held its opening ribbon-cutting ceremony. The mall's opening day anchors were Dillard's, Sears, and Kastner Knott, with JCPenney and Parisian being announced within the next 2 years. CoolSprings Galleria was an instant success, with over 70,000 people visiting on opening day. In fact, the mall was so successful that just over 2 years after opening, on September 28, 1993, construction began on the mall's first expansion, which would add a brand new Parisian department store to the south end of the mall. JCPenney would open in the mall that same year, on November 3, 1993, completing CoolSprings Galleria's 5-anchor lineup. In May of 1998, Little Rock, Arkansas-based Dillard's Incorporated purchased Mercantile Stores Company Incorporated for $3.14 billion, or nearly $6 billion today in 2024. Mercantile owned and managed many department stores across the southern and midwestern United States, including Castner Knott. Later that year, in August, Birmingham, Alabama-based Profits Incorporated bought the 5 Nashville area Castner Knott locations from Dillard's, who already had a location at each of those malls. This, of course, included the CoolSprings Galleria store, which closed as a Castner Knott on September 30th, 1998, and reopened soon after as Profits. This was the first anchor change-up at the mall. I was disappointed to see this FYE closing. I mean, I've never bought anything from them in the past, and I didn't buy anything during their closing sale, but it's just a little sad to see a store closing at the mall. I think it's going to become some sort of Chinese cheap retail thing. I don't know. It's some company called like Miniso, I think, if anyone knows what that is. think we can all agree that this elevator is totally awesome. Just 3 years after Kastner Knott became Profits, CoolSprings Galleria's northern anchor would once again change names, as Profits was acquired by May department stores and all locations were rebranded as Hex. It would remain this way until 2006, when May was merged with Federated department stores and Hex was phased out in favor of Federated's flagship store, Macy's. That same year, Belk acquired Parisian and rebranded the CoolSprings location as Belk. Both Macy's and Belk remain today as they were in 2006. In 2013, the mall's owner, CBL and Associates, acquired the space occupied by Sears. It was then that they announced plans to redevelop the Sears location into an outdoor area with more shops and restaurants. Belk would also play a role in this redevelopment, opening a men and kids store on the lower level of the former Sears. Construction began on the project in October 2014, with a scheduled completion date of October 2015. Belk ended up opening ahead of schedule in March 2015, marking the true end of Sears at CoolSprings Galleria. On March 11th, 2016, CBL announced plans to completely overhaul CoolSprings Galleria in its greatest renovation yet. This facelift would remove the iconic wooden floors and planters of the 90s, replacing them with the monotone gray tiles typically seen in modern malls. In my opinion, this was a huge mistake, as the mall feels much more bland these days than it did prior to the 2016 renovations. In these 1993 photos from Art of the Mall on YouTube, who you should totally check out by the way, we can see what the mall used to look like. Also, there was apparently a fountain at some point, which must have been removed fairly early on, as I don't remember ever seeing one, and I visited as far back as 2010 or so. Anyway, the new changes were officially unveiled on October 28, 2016, bringing the mall to how it appears today. The only other major change at the mall since 2016 came in mid-2023, when Belkman and Kids closed briefly before reopening as a Belk outlet. And that's pretty much the history of CoolSprings Galleria. Also, if you want to see more of this Macy's, I've got a video coming out at some point that showcases it. That video also goes into more detail about what's happening at Macy's right now, which you don't want to miss. Anyways, thanks for watching. I know it took me 4 months to get this footage out, but don't worry, I'm trying to be more on top of things. MallDoc 4 will explore what's left of the now abandoned Panama City Mall in Florida, so stay tuned for that. Also, the song you're hearing right now was made by my brother, and I just wanted to credit him for that, because he worked fairly hard on that, I think. Once again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you at the next mall.